most vulnerable countries and communities, such as, and in particular, small island developing states like here in the Caribbean, we've had the least historical responsibility for greenhouse gas emissions, and yet we're experiencing the brunt of adverse effects of climate change, right? So this is why loss and damage and the need for loss and damage finance to address how do we deal with loss and damages is so important. And loss and damage could be either, extreme weather events, so, hurricanes, flooding, heat waves, droughts, or it could be slow onset events, and that could be, desertification, sea level rise, loss of biodiversity, or ocean acidification. And as Karen mentioned, loss and damages could be either economic losses and damages or non-economic losses and damages. And when we talk about economic loss and damage, that's where it's easier to assign a monetary value to the losses and damages due to the negative impacts of climate change. So basically, that's any sort of, goods or services or resources, anything that you can assign a monetary value to. So, economic loss and damage could be rebuilding of infrastructure and property, for example, or the damages caused by, flooding and the damages caused to infrastructure like highways, I would say power generation lines and so forth. Or it could affect income. So that could be loss of revenue from agricultural yields due to immense flooding. And we saw that happen last year in Pakistan, where billions of dollars were lost due to those immense flooding in Pakistan in the agricultural sector. Non-economic losses and damages are a lot more difficult to assign a monetary value to. These are things that are more intrinsic, for example, health and well-being, lives. Also looking at loss of territory, cultural heritage, indigenous and local knowledge, and then also looking at loss of biodiversity and loss of ecosystem services. So how can we adequately quantify the value of ecosystem services, for example, or of cultural identity and cultural heritage? It's quite difficult to do, but these are aspects that are being really negatively impacted due to climate change that we can't just not consider anymore, because it really forms part of our identity and culture and so forth, things that are a lot more intrinsic and intangible. So you see how complex this issue of loss and damage is. You're seeing it is a climate justice issue. It's difficult to quantify it's difficult to assess, but still we need to have dedicated resources and dedicated interest into developing what are the proper methodologies, ensuring that we have proper financing to address loss and damage as well. And I think Karen made this link between adaptation and loss and damage, and it's very important to bring out here. And for, AOSIS, the Alliance of Small Island States, they consider adaptation as a priority because it's a means to minimize loss and damage due to increasing negative impacts of climate change to small islands. And I think that's quite important.